Talk a little bit about this spooky horse. So this guy can be a little bit spooky, especially right up there. There's like some flower pots and there's a drag over there and there's chairs and stuff moves, and he can be a little bit spooky. And I wrote a blog on this because you have to kind of know why your horse is spooky to know how to handle it. And I wrote a pretty lengthy thing on it because people try and, use one tactic, but yet their horse is spooking for a different reason than the tactic they're using. So they can vary from, if it's pain, obviously no tactic, if you don't address the pain, is going to work. If the horse is just fresh and coming out and just really feeling good, so they're being a little bit spooky, you're going to handle it totally different than if you have a horse that is reacting to a object that they're scared of, or if they are getting tense and uptight about the work, you're going to handle it totally different. So with this guy, I want to show you a way that I think works in quite a few scenarios to diffuse the situation. So most of the time when people have a spooky horse, they feel the horse getting ready to spook, or they know the horse usually spooks in that corner, or the horse is spooked in the past. And so they come out and, they're like a little bit tense themselves. They're like, I'm putting the horse on the bit and I'm going to drive it up into the aids and I'm going to really manage it, in hopes that keeps their horse from being spooky. And a lot of times all that does is just add tension. So it just is like putting fuel on the fire. And the best way to deal with spooking is not to just be like, yeah, who cares? Although sometimes that works. But to actually have a program where you say, okay, I know my horse is a little spooky here. This is how I'm going to handle it. So I'm going to show you one of the ways. We're going to do it at the walk first. And, obviously the horse needs to be trained, because if the horse is spooking in, like a lot of times he'll come through this corner and he'll look at something out of the hairy eyeball on the right, and then he'll drift into my left leg. So I obviously have to be able to put my left leg on and have him move off of it. But I also don't want to come around that corner and make it worse. Okay. So let me show you what that would mean if I was going to make it worse, which he's pretty chill today. So the odds of me making it worse are probably pretty slim. But a lot of times, can we walk on? Good. A lot of times he comes out of this corner, he looks at something, and people automatically we got to go on the bit, and he's got to I got to ride him. And that just adds angst to an already angst horse. So we don't want to do that. So we'll come back around again to our little area, and I'll just describe what I'm going to do on my way in. So because I know that he kind of likes to look right, spook left, I have a little bit of an advantage because I know what he's going to do. But this is any time that a horse is a little spooky on something on the outside of the arena. I am going to put my left seat bone on and my left leg, and I am going to have a connection here with the inside rein, and I'm going to give the outside rein, because that gives him an escape route. So I'm not holding him together. When I give the outside rein, it gives him escape route, and it diffuses the situation. So I can really just address and say, I want left rein, left bend. I want to give the outside rein so you don't feel like I'm holding you together. The extra bend in the neck kind of keeps them better on your aids, but you're actually diffusing the tension. So you're saying, hey, stay on this left aid, left rein, left leg, left seat bone, give the right rein. His head drops and he doesn't Oh, now he's looking at deer. But his head drops, and then, so I'm going to ask again. I'm going to give on the right. I'm going to ask with that left rein, left leg. Okay, let's go down to the other side of the arena, because I'll show you where he spooks sometimes down there. And we'll talk about how we're going to do it down there, because it's the same thing, it's just the opposite rein. And this is actually, there's a little deer trotting around with its tail up, which you guys can't see. So that will give us a good thing. And I don't want to be like, hey, pay attention, and add a bunch of pressure to it and get them all riled up and all of that. But I do want to say, okay, right leg, right seat bone, right rein, I'm going to give on the left. And he actually drifted out a little bit there, but that's okay, because I'm diffusing the situation, but I'm keeping his attention on me. And that can work at the walk, the trot, and the canter. That's the beauty of it. It is not just, at the walk. I will say, I know people are like, oh, you got to get their attention. Like, if you let them look at what's spooking at, they'll always be looking at something that they're spooking at. But especially in new environments, when I go to, when I'm going to a new environment and I know they're going to be a little amped up, I take time to walk around and let them see everything. So if this was a new environment and he was spooky because of this, flower pot, I would let him go look at it. And I've actually clicker trained my horses, so I've used reward-based training to teach them that, go up and look at it. Go up and look at it. That's a good thing, like to go up there and look at it. And they learn, because I'm not forcing them. I'm just rewarding them when they walk toward it. And then I stop them, and I don't pick this scary thing and say, okay, now you got to walk up to it. You got to walk up to it. What I do is, let's say we'll go back to that flower pot and say he's spooky and he's looking at it and he's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go toward it. I will actually stop here, right? And I'll be like, okay, just, I want to keep the threshold down. I do not want to just ride him to it and ride him through it. I want to keep the threshold down. I don't want to teach them to hold tension in their body, to hold fear in their body. I want them to be able to let it go. I want them to be able to have confidence to go see things. And if I make them go do it, it doesn't work. And so then what I would do is I'd say, hey, walk up to it. He walked up to it. I would click. And then I would say, oh, look, that's great. You walked closer. I'd let him hang out here until he was chill. And then I would say, okay, let's see if we can walk closer. Again, I'd ask him. He walked. I'd click. He's closer. And what happens with this technique is that you'll get horses to be inquisitive about things that they're scared about. So the next time hold on. So now he's all the way up on it, right? So I just wanted to finish that exercise for your guys. And then sometimes I really want them, like if he was really scared about it, I'd want him to touch it with his nose, because that's always helpful. But what this activates is this inquisitiveness about their environment, instead of all this fear about their environment. So I want them to go up and look at something and see something and realize that it's really not that bad, and that, they can go look at it and they can go, inquire about it and have that inquisitive side to them and gain a little confidence. Okay, so I'm going to go, well, we do want to trot, but not yet, bud. I'm going to go back up to this little scary section, and I'm going to put my left seat bone on, left leg on, and I'm going to give on the outside rein. He comes a little bit behind the vertical, and that's okay right now, because I'm not pulling him behind the vertical. I'm giving, and I'm just maintaining rein contact on the left side, and I don't have a strong hold. I'm not like, you got to bend left, and I'm going to give right. Like, that's not what I'm doing, okay? It's just the same kind of like connection I would have if I was riding around. What I'm doing is giving away the outside rein, okay? So let's pick up the trot. And he hasn't trotted yet today, so this would be good. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be left seat bone, left leg, give the right rein. Good boy. See, and it just diffuses the situation from the get-go. So we'll come down here to this scary corner, although it's usually, for some reason, not as scary when he goes this way, but I'll go left seat bone, left leg, give the right rein. Good boy. And see, there's no like tension building up in him because he's not on the bit, but there's no tension building up on him because I'm forcing him to go into the scary corner. Left seat bone, left leg, left rein, and give on the right. All right, we'll do that once. The other direction. Could we go on the bit a little bit? Huh? Oh my, no, we can't go on the bit today. Because he doesn't go on the bit. He doesn't know how to do dressage at all. Okay, so here, he's looking. I'm going to go right leg, right rein, give on the left. Notice I'm not adding pressure. I'm not saying go more forward. I'm not like doing anything. I'm just maintaining the tempo. No matter what his head and neck does. He's a little looky tonight. No big deal. We're warming up. We haven't trotted yet. I'm going to go right rein, right leg, give on the left. Good. Right rein, right leg, give on the left. Good. And we'll do it one more time down in that other corner. And he's a little looky, so I'll go right lane, right leg, give on the left. Good. And then, again, right lane, right leg, give on the left. And right seat bone, really, too. So when I say that about the right seat bone, it's like I actually contract around that seat bone to give it a little bit more oomph. And it's an isometric contraction. And it's like that seat bone is on you now. I want you to listen to that seat bone and where that is. And that's like, you know, that connection all the way down from my core, down the right seat bone, down the right leg. I want you to bend around that. And then I give on the left. So I diffuse the situation. And you can do that at the walk, trot, and the canter. And it really works. It really, really works if you take the time to do the exercises that give them confidence about a new environment. And you take the time to teach them how to not be emotional all the time and how to self-regulate a little bit when you come into a scenario like where you know that you have something spooky, or you know that you go to a show and there's a flower box down there, or the judge's booth, and you know, then you use this technique and no judge is going to fault you on that. And when you're like warming up and everything, you can use that, and it just helps the horse relax and chill and not feel like they're forced into the scenario. As soon as you start, let's not chew on the reins. As soon as you start forcing them to it, you know, that's when the tension builds, and that's when the spooks get worse. And over time, the spooks get worse, not necessarily just in that day, but over time. You know, there's the old cowboy adage is that you ride harder away from the spooky thing and you don't ride toward the spooky thing. And the whole reason that is because what people do is they increase the pressure. So let's say that box, that flower pot over there is spooky. What they do is like starting here. Can we walk? Starting here, they start riding. Oh, I'm going to ride you over to that because I know you're going to spook at it. I'm going to ride you over to it. Oh, good, you went by. I'm going to release. Okay? So they got the release for going away from the object. And so that's why they say, no. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to make it to that when they're actually going toward the object is when you're sort of punishing them by riding. And then you're like, you know, relaxing afterwards, because then that it adds the tension. And it also is just this, you know, if you go to negative reinforcement, it's the exact opposite you want to do. So that's my 2 cents. I hope that's helpful in your troubleshooting a little bit on how to ride a horse, you know, if it's spooky. And you can use this in so many instances in your warm-up, even if it's just like a windy day and your horse doesn't usually spook, but he's a little fresh. And also, so that's it for today, but also check out that blog. I'll put a link down below. Okay, thanks guys. See you next time.